Welcome to Modern Marketing Messages, the leading podcast discussing the latest and greatest in both online and offline marketing tactics, strategies, and trends. I'm your host, Taylor Karg, marketing content writer at AmericanEagle.com. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the world of paid advertising for lead generation. To do that, I have a special guest here with me, so please welcome Simi Assudani, paid ads and email specialist at AmericanEagle.com. Welcome, Simi. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here.
Can you please introduce a little bit about yourself, explain your roles and responsibilities at AmericanEagle.com, as well as a little bit about your experience in the industry?
Absolutely. So, as you mentioned, I'm the paid ads and email specialist. So, anything that is to do with lead generation, lead nurturing is my scope of work here at American Eagle. And a little bit about my background. So, I was a non believer in digital marketing. And today I work in this space, so there can be no better testament to this space beyond my experience for sure. So I was doing this course in high school that taught me a lot about corporate roles, be it HR, be it marketing, be it operations, and be it sales and finances. To which my most peaking role was going into the field of HR, because I really like the way I would be on the other side of the
Yeah.
table and get that feeling of authority and dominance, like interviewing different candidates and really owning into skills of analyzing if they are the best fit for a particular company. And after the course, if so the condition was, if I complete the course, get an A grade, I would be given a bonus digital marketing course to
Oh, wow.
apply my skills and
Yeah.
understand this new space. Back then, the digital marketing field had only started. Google Ads just started at a cent as per average CPC cost holds. Then MailChimp was the first email marketing platform that was introduced in the digital marketing field back then. Um, that time I just learned the course, didn't really pay attention to owning this as a skill or something that I can pursue as my professional career. I was always focused on being in HR. So after this course completed, we were, given the opportunity to intern at various firms. Luckily, while I was applying for the role for HR internship, a real estate company HR approached me and he was like, "Why don't you interview as for an HR for this company?" I um I just randomly went and I was like, of course I want to, as a high school kid, I want to make big bucks, get the industry
Yeah.
knowledge.
Don't we all?
Absolutely. And I always had the competitive spirit and I wanted to be better and better each day. And my competition was with no one, but just with myself, making a great living for myself. And I knew that the sooner I start, the better experience I would get. So when I interviewed for this HR internship, I was pretty confident because there were only two candidates that applied for that internship. So I knew my chances were fair and gold. But I didn't land to that internship at all. And although my interview went excellent, I had zero hopes that I wouldn't be selected, but I didn't. And it left me really disappointed. I kind of consulted my teachers and anyone and everyone I could possibly for understanding where am I lacking in terms of HR skills. Why wasn't I selected? 5 days later, the HR calls me. He's like, "I have an internship for you." I was like, "Wow, this is mind baffling," because I didn't expect a call back,
Yeah.
knowing that I was already rejected. He's like, "But this internship is in marketing. Do you think you would be able to be the better fit for this role?" Um, and I said, "Well, I just want the bucks." So
Yeah.
I I started. I accepted the offer, and that's how my marketing journey began.
Wow. Yeah.
Usually, in on a normal scale, we always say that teachers change a student's world, but in my case, an HR did.
Yeah.
And ever since I have been in the field of marketing, I really started with video production and creating viral videos for social media, especially especially for Facebook and Instagram back then. There was no TikTok, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I also owned into the skills of social media and SEO, a little bit of SEO, a little bit of email. Paid advertising was not in the picture until later on. After this internship, I got opportunities at various other digital marketing agencies where I would majorly take the roles for paid advertising and email marketing, because I truly realized that this is what I want to move forward with. Lead generation is something that excites me. The results really intrigue me and also help me understand what is the direction that I want to take moving forward. So this is so far my experience within this field. And when I was kind of taking up clients, new clients, and trying to understand how I can better serve these clients in terms of paid advertising, I realized I was lacking the adequate information for understanding data, metrics, and telling a story through data. Because if I cannot understand the data, I'm just assuming, which we often do as we initially begin in this marketing field. We assume that, okay, the clients might like this, okay, the audience might prefer to go this route or this directions. Okay, this is the experience that we want to share to the audience. But to be honest, it's the data that tells the true story, not our
Yeah.
assumptions.
Hmm.
And I was always trying to find a balance between I'm not including my personal bias, and that I'm owning into more data analytics and data metrics in telling a story, and redefining my course of action. So I thought, of course, the experience is great, but this is not it. So I'm originally from Mumbai, India. I know it took me a long time to say that. All of this experience that I had was basically in Mumbai, the busiest city of the world, as you know. So I got a lot of opportunities to learn and own my skills, but I thought I was truly lacking the information that I need to confidently portray it to my clients in terms of a data story. And that's why I came to Chicago, studied at DePaul University.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And basically the gap in, not in the market, but the gap in my skills is
Yeah.
something that I realized. And I started pursuing my master's in marketing analytics,
Oh, wow.
to really understand how data speaks in the world of marketing, and how I can better serve my clients and better do my job. Because again, the competitive spirit in me just
Yeah.
always try to boost it. And here I am, living the American dream with an eagle-like vision.
I love that. And it's crazy because obviously you wanted to start out in HR, and then it's like, oh, this thing that you were upset by and rejected by just ignited a whole new path of basically, your life and coming to,
Mhm.
America, working at americaneagle.com. So that's wonderful. So because we're talking about paid ads today, can we talk a little bit about, what you do in terms of paid ads for your clients at americaneagle.com?
Yep. So I do a lot in paid ads. Of course, it's not just limited to Google ads. I know it's the most popular medium. Nevertheless, we also provide services for Bing ads,
Okay.
which are nothing but Microsoft ads, Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, um, and even Snapchat ads. Of
Oh,
course,
wow. I
that's
didn't know we did that.
oh, a
Yeah.
lot.
Okay, so let's just jump right in because I don't know a lot about paid ads. So I'm excited,
Mhm.
to get to chat with you and learn more about the digital marketing strategy service all in one. So, what is paid advertising and how does it relate to lead generation?
So, going to the theory of paid advertising, it's just like in the olden times, we used to pay for the billboards just for the potential customers to notice it. Paid advertising is the same for the digital space. It is paying for the ads for users specifically who would search a particular term. There are a lot of forms of paid advertising. It can be search, it can be display, it can be discovery, it can be YouTube ads as well. So it's really getting the message to the right audience at the right time, but using paid medium. So you have to pay for those ads.
And how does that relate to lead generation?
So paid advertising is a very strong medium. If it is used strategically, you can really attract the potential clients, and encourage them to take action on your website. For example, um, if I'm looking for a lawyer firm and I'm searching on Google randomly, or be it Bing, the first placement, the second placement, and the third placement usually is an advertisement. That way you get new eyeballs to your business without them actually knowing that there is something like this also exists, like a lawyer firm near me exists. Maybe it's a mile away, maybe it's 10 miles away. So it just really helps getting new potential customers and encouraging them to take action on your website even when they did not know that your business existed.
You mentioned Google ads and then Bing ads, which you said
Mhm.
are Microsoft ads.
Mhm.
Are there other platforms that you see being used? And then how do you decide which platforms are, better for different types of businesses? Like a law firm, how do you decide which platform is going to be better?
Yep. For a law firm specifically, now that Google is always changing their policies,
Yeah.
getting the best out of their domains, uh, we can also use local service ads. These are very, very popular for any kind of services, be it in lawyer, be it if you're a lawyer, be it if you're even a gardener, even a person who is an independent worker just remodeling a house, for salons. There are a lot of other mediums. The way we decide is, first of all, we want to understand if the medium serves the business goals. If the goal is just brand awareness, if the goal is getting more traffic to the website, even paid social media ads work incredibly well. If the goal is filling up a form or making a purchase on the website, Google ads, Bing ads work the best, because these are the top domains that help us get the most amount of leads, and it greatly helps in lead generation, because most of the users that are looking for a particular service, or looking to buy a particular product but don't know where, they usually are present on these platforms
Yeah.
making search queries every single minute.
And you said local services, or what were you, like a new kind of platform that are becoming increasingly popular?
Yes, it is. It is a part of Google Ads as well, but it is a different platform altogether. What
What's it called?
local service
Oh,
ads.
okay.
So just like Google Ads, it's another form of advertising for Google, from Google. What you basically do in local service ads is, um, you have to mention your business details. Given that it is more service oriented, you also need to upload your license. Like for example, if you're looking for an attorney in Illinois, if their license is not being practiced, or if they do not have a particular license for the state of Illinois, they won't be eligible for local service ads. So we want to make
Okay.
sure their licenses are in place. It goes beyond just Google Ads verification, the business
Yeah.
verification that is very
Interesting.
common for all the accounts now. This goes into more documentation in terms of verifying a particular account, particular service, particular license of a service provider, and it also helps you schedule appointments through a third party Google platform.
Oh.
So within a matter of 2 clicks, a user can either place a call or fill up a lead form, and these ads are mostly placed even before the Google ads.
Oh.
So it is ideally placed even above that.
Yeah, see, that's how much I don't know about paid advertising, is that I didn't
Yeah.
even know that existed.
It's ever changing.
So let's talk a little bit about landing pages for lead capture. What does a high converting landing page look like?
um so I always tell that to my clients, that paid ads can necessarily lead to traffic, but it's your landing page that helps get the conversions.
Okay.
So a compelling landing page majorly includes a great value proposition. They have a clear call to action. They're not confusing the audiences. It's uncluttered. They offer a single offer, clear call to action, maybe in the header of the website, and a clear form to fill either in the right side or left side, depending on how the users pursue while they look at your website. It also highlights the value proposition. It includes usually trust oriented indicators. By this, I mean if there are any kind of client testimonials, if there are kind of any reviews that they have got for their service. So it should be like a single landing page that's giving them more and more information. Imagine a user who has absolutely no idea about your business or what you do or what for how long you have been into this business. It gives them great information regarding that, and also benefit oriented keywords like what is it that the user will achieve, what is the problem that the user is trying to solve by coming to their website page. And of course, a good landing page always encourages the user to take an action, be it filling up a form or making a purchase. It really depends. If you're into the educational industry, it would be more like an application form, but if you're into e-commerce, it would be more like making a purchase, be it
Yeah.
like sandals, shoes, or anything else.
Does a paid ad ever go to like just a homepage, or is that kind of, not against good practices or best practices?
Um,
It seems like a paid ad going to a homepage would be like too generic and not really, convincing somebody to take an action. So do you guys, suggest to clients to create like a specific type of page?
so we do suggest having a very direct, straightforward landing page that helps users to take action.
Yeah.
Of course,
With all the elements that we just talked about.
100%. We also use the main homepage as a landing page, but most likely for the branded campaigns where we are trying to establish a brand presence through
Yeah.
paid ads. That's when we basically try to have the homepage as the landing page
Yeah, I got you.
as well.
So let's talk about ad copy. What are some tips and strategies for creating compelling headlines and descriptions to use on the paid ads?
So this is where the entire play for the paid media comes in. Unlike like email marketing, social media marketing, or SEO specific blogs, we have a character limit in paid ads. So for the headlines, it's 30 characters. For the descriptions, it is 90 characters.
Oh, so
So it's
very short. Yeah.
it's really short, and we want to be sure that our messaging is reaching the right audience within those character limits. So it is pretty straightforward. Of course, the best practice is to have the headlines that specify specific features of the product, what makes them different, any kind of testimonials or claims. For example, if I talk about a lawyer firm and they have retrieved $2 million from one of the class action lawsuits, so they can mention that in their headline, any kind of victories or maybe any kind of award winning product, or be it an award winning brand, so we can mention that in the headlines. For the descriptions, it's best that of course we have a 90 character limit. We cannot exceed that how much ever we try to. So you can deep dive into different types of products and services beyond what we have in the headlines. This also helps with cross selling. This is also a way where we can establish better trust with our clients, and also give them a glimpse of what is it that they would see once they click on this ad. But of course, the best practice with generating all these ad copies is to have appropriate site links, call out actions, any kind of phone number or phone call leads that we can generate. So having call extensions works incredibly well. For e-commerce, if we have seasonal promotions, we also have a promotion tabs while we create the ad copy.
Mhm.
So all a combination of all these factors really make an ad copy excellent. But of course, the foundation is with the keyword research.
Yeah.
If the keywords are not appropriate or are not aligning well with the business or the business offerings, it's not going to lead you anywhere. So we want to make sure that we use keyword planner to its fullest, getting the most high converting keywords, but also with a low average CPC cost, so that we
Yeah.
can really own into the competition and lead our way, even if it's a new account altogether.
So there's a lot that goes into, crafting these paid advertisements, which is not something that, people probably think about when they see one.
Yeah, they think it's a cake work, but
Yeah,
it is not.
it
It
is
really
not.
is not.
So, do you guys on your team write the copy for your clients, or do you work with your clients and kind of give them pointers, or who writes the actual copy that are going on a lot of these advertisements?
So we do have regular calls with our clients. We plan to meet them once every week or even twice if there are any kind of escalations that are needed. We want to make sure that we exactly communicate and present the ads as the brand would present themselves,
Yeah,
as the client
okay.
would present
Mhm.
themselves. So we first, usually it's the specialist. Sometimes we also ask the content team to design the headlines and draft the descriptions, and then we send it to our clients. Once the clients approve, they believe that it's representing their brand voice, it's sounding correct, it's including all the facts that relate to their business. Of course they would know their business and we would ever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so we make sure that it goes through their set of eyes, it's well supervised, and then we publish the ads.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was just curious on, like who does the writing of those. As a writer myself, I just wanted to know. So let's move on to targeting the right audience. How do you target the right audience for, your clients, and how do you know what the right type of audience for them is?
Yeah, this is the question that we always ask to our clients on our first set of meetings, because it's really important to understand if the client already has a buyer persona, that is, the demographics, the geographics, the interests of a particular type of clients for their business. Is it well aligning with the services that they offer? Upon that, I also ask this additional question: what is the lifetime value of a
Mm.
particular client? Because I know at times when paid ads is working incredibly well, we are getting maybe 100 leads, but out of those 100 leads, how many of them are qualified leads? Out of all these qualified leads, what is the retention value that they expect from the business?
Yeah.
Because then the value of paid ads becomes incredible in understanding if out of 100 leads, just say 10 were qualified leads, but they are maybe a 5-year retainer or a 6-year retainer. So the customer lifetime value for these retainers is as old as 5 years and 6 years, and whatever their maybe their service charge is, that becomes their lifetime revenue from a particular client. So imagine if you're spending around $200 every single day on paid ads and you get one qualified lead each day, and if that lead is giving you repeat business for say $2,000 every
Yeah.
single month, imagine the gravity uh of paid ads bolstering their entire business.
Yeah, I can see why you wanted to learn more about the data and insights portion, because I normally don't understand any of that stuff, but that really put it into perspective for me. So, do you have any targeting techniques that you found particularly effective for clients?
Absolutely. So once I understand their buyer personas, um, I go into Google Ads, try to make use of affinity audiences, which work incredibly well. So affinity audiences or Google-based audiences, in terms of clearly stating that these are shopping enthusiasts versus these are students who are interested in aviation academy or learning a pilot course. So really, having a lookalike audiences, having social proof. So if the client already has social media existing, I would like to look at their social media platforms, try to understand what audiences really engage with their services or their offerings or their products, and try to create a lookalike audience in Google Ads and even Bing Ads for sure. Um, and try to really match what their current audience segment is and what their potential audience segments could be, and that also aligns with the keywords strategy that we use in our campaigns.
Oh, wow. And it was called Affinity Google?
Affinity
Oh,
audiences.
Affinity Audiences. I've never even heard of that either. See, I'm learning so much from you. How do you use demographic and behavioral data to refine audience targeting?
It helps greatly because for a lot of clients, we can really see what the age group is, what their household income is, what their interest is. We can also see the number of clicks, the number of conversions, what their CTR rate is. Um, but it's also limited to the finance and the housing industry, because to an extent you can increase the bid and decrease the bid for a particular age, for a particular type of household income, for a particular type of parental status, or a particular type of gender.
Okay.
But for the finance and the housing industry, you cannot do that.
Yeah.
In that case, you might have to use value rules, which is another form of indirectly targeting the audiences. And it really depends upon the business goals, and it also depends on the data. And this is where my marketing analytics knowledge comes in. If I see a particular audience, maybe between 18 to 24, is pretty interested into car products or car parts, I would go into Google Ads, increase their bid, and try to reduce the bid for age groups that are 65 and plus and are not really looking for car parts. And
Yeah.
that way you can also optimize and really own into the different demographics, geographical, and interest segments that we are provided through Google.
I gotcha. So moving on to optimizing ad campaigns, which you just mentioned a little bit about,
Mhm.
where does the A/B testing fit in with paid ad lead generation?
Yep. There's so much you can do with paid ads. It there's never an end to it.
Yeah.
Uh, so for the A/B testing, there are multiple ways you can A/B test. If you want to test with maybe a keyword match type. So for example, if you have a campaign that's just targeting broad match, you can create another A/B testing, the B testing, that would be more oriented towards phrase match keywords, and see what really works for you. You can run this experiment for a set number of days. Ideally, 2 weeks is more ideal, given that Google takes at least 2 weeks to understand what's going on and how
Oh,
it
okay.
can kind of redirect or create a diversion um, and move the path along.
Oh, wow. For
And
Google, 2 weeks seems like a long time.
it does. For us to make a decision, I would
Yeah.
always rely on a 2 week data rather than just
Okay.
a week data,
Yeah.
because it's just trying to understand and grasp what's being changed in the account.
Yeah.
Similarly, for A/B testing, something that works really well is for educational institutes, and if they have, for example, international classes, or they have international students coming in, if they have classes or campuses abroad, they can it works really well in this type of industry. What we can really do is have an A test that is in English and B test in the local language of the
Oh,
campus.
yeah.
So for example, one of my clients, they have classes in Chicago and they have classes in Munich, Germany. So we did an A/B test, one in the English language and the same type of headlines in German language, and we did see a lot of increase for international students, and a lot of more qualified leads for that campus and for those courses specifically, when we did that A/B testing, which works incredibly well
Yeah.
when we want to target multiple audiences, but the messaging is the same.
Yeah, that's awesome. And my next question was going to be, how do you optimize campaigns to ensure you're sending out the right message? And I like that, like with international, trying, the local language that you're targeting. So I didn't really think of that. So, what are some ways teams can manage their paid ad budgets?
There is a lot. So I believe every client is always trying to understand how many conversions did they get and what's the budget that they utilize, what's the cost per conversion. And every client's pain point is usually optimizing the budget as it's needed. They want to make sure that their hard earned money is not being spent on anything random, anything that's not leading to conversions.
Yeah.
So this brings up a very great point in paid advertising. I believe a paid ad specialist or a paid ads expert can only be an expert if they know how to really optimize the budget while also increasing the number of
Yeah,
conversions.
absolutely.
There are multiple ways you can do it. You can break down your audiences into different segments, be it, like, of course, I mentioned about the age groups, um, the household incomes, the interest, and also by location. So if you're, for example, if you're targeting United States as a location, you can break that down into 50 different states. And for example, I see the highest number of leads or the highest number of purchases coming through New York as a location. I would increase that bid to 10% and reduce the bid. For example, if Wyoming is not working too great, I would just reduce that bid for 10%.
Yeah.
So that way I'm continuously optimizing the budget. There are other ways you can do it is through devices. For example, if you're filling up an application form for maybe a job or for an educational institute that you want to pursue your bachelor's or master's, so you want to make sure that the desktop percent is high. If you see more kind of qualified leads coming in through that, and reduce the bid for mobile phones, absolutely reduce the bid for tablets, and absolutely reduce the bid for TV screens.
Mm-hmm.
Since the time we started with smart TVs,
Yeah.
Google is also trying to promote our ads on smart screens. I'm not sure how it works really
Yeah.
well yet, but maybe in the future. So
Yeah.
that way you can also optimize your budget. In terms of bidding strategies, that's something that is really important. You want to understand if for a while you're running your ads on maximize conversions. By now you have the data in Google Ads to understand what is the target cost per conversion, and then you can put a cap on it by target CPA. Similarly, the target ROAS works in the same way. So we want to make sure that once we have enough data to understand what the cost per conversion is, we put a cap on it so that we are not spending extravagantly.
Yeah.
There you can also go deeper into negative keywords and negative placements, ad placements. So there are two sides of this coin right here. So negative keyword, when you see like keywords that are competitor keywords that not align with your business or not align with your or businesses that do not align with your services, you can add these as negative keywords, because you're still paying for that average CPC cost or that cost per click
Yeah.
when a user clicks on your ad. But if they are if it is not meeting their set of expectations when they click on the ad, they're ideally going to bounce off.
Yeah.
But it is still utilizing your budget. So we want to make sure that we have the negative keyword strategy in place, and we regularly optimize and look for any keywords that do not align with the set of services, any set of products. Or negative ad placements come into play, especially for display advertising, for performance max ads, where Google is trying to show your ads to any and everybody, be it on Gmail, be it on YouTube, be it on, its website partners. Usually you would also see an ad on any kind of website that you might just, maybe it's a blog, something. You'll see on the right there is an advertisement. Sometimes it's in the middle, depending upon where the placements are decided or directed by Google. So sometimes you have ad placements on websites or on YouTube channels that do not really align with your business or with the type of audiences that you want to attract. So you want to make sure that you're adding negative ad placements, because every time Google is pushing your ads to different platforms, it's also charging you when
Yeah.
someone again clicks on the ad. Be it a banner that you saw on a website and you click on it, you're still paying for it because someone clicked on that
Yeah.
ad. And a lot of times you also see the ad for performance max and display ads. We see a lot of ad placements on mobile apps. And I know these are like 5-second ads,
Yeah.
and sometimes people click on it, sometimes people try to cancel but still click on it. So you're ideally again spending your extravagant amount on audiences that do not really align with your business. They're not
Yeah.
they're not the type of target audiences that you want to attract. So you want to make sure that there are negative ad placement strategy also in place, so that you're not spending a single penny on a non-targeted audience.
Wow. Yeah. See, all of these things, I'm like, I would have never known any of this. So there's a ton that goes into just budgeting, let alone, ad copy, optimizing all that, but just everything to do with the budget is crazy.
It is. And we want to make sure that we are spending all our clients' budget very proactively in a way that is helping them get additional revenue,
Yeah.
not putting them into additional debt.
Yeah. Off the top of your head, can you think of a client obviously without naming the client that, like spends like what's a high amount to spend on their budget for like Google ads?
Um, there is never a specific high amount that can be spent. It really depends if you are ready to spend more.
Yeah.
That means you're going to attract more leads. But if it is done strategically, if it is not, then even if you spend $100 versus $1,000,
Yeah.
it's not going to work well.
And is the budgeting like, on a month by month or week by week basis, or how much or when do you pay for your ads?
Uh, there are different ways Google would charge you. Um, in one way, it's most likely the
Okay.
monthly payments, but sometimes if you do not put a cap on your budget, so there is a Google script that you can embed in Google. So suppose my monthly budget is $500. I want to put a cap on $500, saying that every time I utilize this much budget,
Cut it off. Okay.
pause my ads
Yeah.
until I renew it next month.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Then this is when we have automated payments on. If we do not have automated payments on, we can pay manually, but we do not suggest that for clients, because you never know when Google entirely utilizes your budget. You're not
Yeah.
into paid ads every single day or every single minute trying to monitor, oh, did they
Yeah.
utilize
Yeah.
my $500. There is another way where you're more aggressive on getting new leads, where there is absolutely no cap or no script that needs to be embedded. So suppose my goal is to get 100 leads out of the $500 or maybe $500 daily budget, for
Yeah.
example. So if there are days when it would utilize $700, because you want to have 100 leads by any cost, so it will
Yeah.
recharge you for that specific
Oh.
day. So there are a lot of strategies that we can implement, and there are a lot of ways clients can set up their billing activity and billing mode for payments. It really depends on what they're looking for. Are they looking for more aggressively for leads? Are they looking to have a capped budget for their marketing spend? And according to that, we set the budget for them. We also said what should be the payment method for these clients.
Oh, yeah, I got you. That makes sense. So, moving on to measuring success, what type of metrics should be measured to correctly evaluate the performance of clients' ad campaigns?
There are a lot of them,
Yeah.
but usually, majorly, it's conversions. Um, with conversions, we have the average CPC cost, which helps clients understand what are other competitors bidding, or what are other businesses that are placing their ads on Google bidding for their ads. It really gives them more information. That, for example, for healthcare fields, the bidding cost is a little higher than any kind of service providers besides lawyers, because Google really knows that lawyers earn a lot
Yeah.
through their cases. So
Yeah.
their keywords are also more, I would say, more expensive. Every time like someone clicks on their ad, the cost per click is usually higher.
Gotcha.
Um, so average CPC cost is something that you need to keep in mind, because that's where you can control and really own into budget optimization. Of course, the CTR rate, that's the click-through rate. We want to understand if our ads are really communicating the message to the right audience, and if it is convincing enough that they're landing to your landing page. And of course, encouraging them to taking an action is something that a landing page does.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that the CTR is in place. Clicks and impressions really depends on if you want to have brand awareness, more impressions, clicks are good. If you want to really have a good budget optimization strategy in place, getting qualified clicks is very important, because you do not want to spend an extra penny on anything that's or
Not,
anyone that is
yeah,
not the right audience. But beyond all these data points do tell a story initially, and while we also move towards different stages in Google Ads. But of course, the most important goal is conversions. Now, this term is used more loosely than we would think, because there are two types of conversions: soft conversions and hard conversions. So soft conversions are basically when someone downloads a file, when someone looks at a particular blog post, or when someone is filling up a newsletter form, or maybe or subscribing to your newsletter. So all of these, while you want to count these cannot be ideally the conversions, the hard conversions, because all of these just tell us what if the website is really communicating well with the audiences. But we really want to calculate if there are form fills for like educational institutes, for suppose a healthcare clinic. We want to
right.
make sure we have patients filling up the form correctly. We want to make sure that users are calling if the call to action is 24-hour emergency call or something. And for e-commerce, it's very important to understand purchases. Now, for e-commerce, again, we use conversions again as loosely as possible, but we want to make sure that we are only counting the purchases, not any kind of add to cart, any kind of view carts,
Right.
any kind of abandoned carts. All these are a part of soft conversions.
Hmm. Gotcha. So, what types of tools or platforms do you guys use to track and analyze, clients' campaign data?
At American Eagle, we always provide our clients with a Looker Studio dashboard that gives them an integrated view of all the marketing platforms and marketing channels and how it is contributing to their marketing strategy. But for specifically for paid ads, we have Google Analytics. For Facebook, we have Facebook Insights.
Mm,
And recently, Google Ads also has given an option to create dashboards within Google Ads.
okay.
And I do that extensively for a lot of my clients. This helps giving them an additional layer of information. So in Google Ads dashboards, you can literally it's in free form, so you can really create dashboards that is more focused on conversions. What city is giving us the most amount of conversions, and here I'm talking about most of the hard conversions.
Yeah.
um, then it also gives us information about the interaction type. What devices are we getting the most clicks from? What is the cost that we have spent so far on mobile versus desktop? It also gives us more information regarding the overall cost spend, the overall conversions, the clicks, interactions. You can create a scorecard, you can create a pie chart, you can create a table, literally even a tree map. So it gives the clients real time information. So anytime they want to go in Google Ads, they can just click on that link, click on that dashboard, and get real time information. It also gives them the option to choose a particular date range. So for example, I want to look at the metrics for the date of from 1st August to August 31st to just see how August performed overall. Versus if I also want to check out data for quarter 1 of 2023, you can really do that as well. And so far the clients have been really pleased by having this real time dashboard,
Yeah.
which gives them information readily, without them waiting for a weekly
Yeah.
recap email, or without them waiting really for our next meeting. So it also gives them a surety, because they're in real time seeing how the paid ads are performing, and if it
Yeah.
is going in the route they want it to be directed towards.
Yeah, I like that too, that they can also, take the time to learn what's going on, behind the scenes too and try to understand the data themselves. So
Absolutely.
moving on to retargeting and nurturing, why is retargeting important for paid ad lead generation?
It is really important for users who haven't taken an action even after visiting the website, because there are certain users who are maybe, seeing the website for the first time, trying to understand the business or the offerings, but they weren't convinced enough for the first time that the business is really servicing what their end goal is, or if it is really trying to solve their problem, or if it is really hitting their pain points and trying to resolve it for them. So sometimes the users bounce off. And retargeting helps gain more attention of these users and help them visit the website again, and this time, of course, and encourage them to take an action, because now they're already aware about the brand, they're already aware about the product is, they are already aware what the service is. And if they land to the website again, this really piques their interest, and we
Right.
want to make sure that we're trying to solve problems for the users and giving them an ease while they land to our website. And if they did not do it once, maybe because of trust factors or credibility issues, and sometimes the user just takes more time to understand if it is a if the business is really a good fit
Yeah.
for their problem solving. So this really helps us understand and target and retarget the audiences that did not make an action on the website and encourage them to take an action eventually.
Do you guys encourage your clients to do and invest in like retargeting ads and all that?
If they have the budget to do it, 100%.
Yeah.
And it also really depends if the ad account is set up targeting the right audiences. Of course, retargeting helps greatly. We would
Yeah.
encourage all our clients to have a retargeting campaign set up. You can align a very minimum budget to it, but it greatly helps getting the right type of users. Another way we can also retarget is using customer match lists. So these are the lists that include the email, the phone number, the first name, last name of a client, of that the businesses give with their whole consent to us, and we can upload that. Google translates all of this information into hash data to encourage data privacy. And this also helps us under this also helps Google to understand what the targeted audience can look like, and if they do have if these users have visited a particular website, how do we retarget them?
Right.
And retarget them in multiple ways. You can retarget them on YouTube, you can retarget them on websites through display advertising, you can retarget these audiences using discovery ads as well. But I would recommend discovery ads are mostly used for grabbing more new eyeballs than just
Right.
retargeting.
I gotcha. So you mentioned a little bit, about like consent and privacy. How do you ensure that ad campaigns adhere to, users' privacy wishes and legal and ethical guidelines?
As an agency, we want to make sure that we are communicating the same way as the companies or the businesses would represent themselves. We comply with the GDPR policies, which is kind of a hot topic these
Yeah.
days. We want to make sure that if the client is providing a customer match list, it's with the consent of the client, that we're uploading it on Google Ads, and making sure that the Google sales rep confirms that this is going to be converted into hash data, so that their data privacy is not violated.
Yeah.
um, and also avoiding false claims in our ads, because I know when I look at different ads and different businesses, they would claim themselves the best
Yeah.
product in the
Yeah.
world, the best brand in the world,
Right.
the New York special storyteller, or the
Yeah.
New York Times storyteller. But are they really having any kind of social proof, any proof on their website? For a lawyer firm, if they have retrieved $2 million, I do not want to mention retrieve $4 billion
Yeah.
or something. Do not like. I know marketing can be exaggerated, but it shouldn't be exaggerating false claims
Yes. Yeah.
for the headlines and descriptions. And in terms of following ethical rights and compliance, and making sure we follow all the ethics in marketing, we want to make sure that we have consent for the client match list. We also want to make sure that we are not adding any kind of false claims, even if the client would encourage that. But it's highly not recommended, because we do not want to manipulate our users in taking a decision based on maybe we made a false claim, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Understood. So, Simi, I have one last question for you
Mm-hmm.
for this episode. If you had to pick one thing you want listeners to take away from all of the, fantastic information that you shared with us today, what would that be?
the users, I would like to say that paid ads is really the highest source of generating revenue if done correctly and if done strategically. Um, and you want to make sure that you communicate the right message, focus on communicating the experience, focus on communicating and generating value to the client than just having a salesy headline or salesy description. Focus on creating trust oriented indicators, like if there are client testimonials, because if there is a formula to marketing, it would be communicating the experience, not just pushing the product.
Right. And there we have it. That was a great, thing to end on. I think everyone should hire AmericanEagle.com and Simi for their paid ad needs.
Oh,
Thank you so much for joining us today. I learned a lot. I know our listeners will too. So thank you very much.
thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to Modern Marketing Messages. For more information about the topics discussed today, check out the description of this episode. If you like this episode, follow the podcast wherever you listen to them to stay up to date with us. While you're at it, give us a rating and share this podcast with others. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Modern Marketing Messages. This episode is brought to you by AmericanEagle.com Studios. I'm Taylor Karg, and I'll be back with another Modern Marketing Message.